In the quiet hours of a night that seemed ordinary, Michael DeWitt stared into the multiple screens in front of him, lost in the endless cascade of data and star maps. As a freelance researcher, his latest project involved scanning the deep cosmos for anomalies that the larger institutes often overlooked. It was tedious work, rewarded only by the occasional blip that hinted at the mysteries of the universe. Little did he know, tonight's work would not just uncover an anomaly, but catapult him into a cosmic dilemma of astronomical proportions. Michael's setup, though makeshift, was impressively effective. His home, nestled on the outskirts of a small New Mexico town, was cluttered with an array of advanced gadgets and gizmos that he had acquired from various auctions and clearances. The centerpiece was a high-powered telescope, retrofitted with an experimental hyperspectral imager that he had managed to tweak for deep space observation. At precisely 2:17 a.m., as the celestial bodies moved in their ordained paths, Michael's monitors flickered with a sudden surge of data. An object, massive, but with readings that were off the standard charts, had entered his telescope's field of view. Its trajectory suggested it wasn't just passing through, it was headed towards Earth. The readings were bizarre, an amalgam of signals that defied his extensive catalog of known cosmic bodies. Without a moment's hesitation, Michael initiated a more detailed scan, refining the parameters of his equipment. The object was not merely a rogue asteroid. It was a ship, sleek, luminescent, and unlike anything human engineers had designed. The design was too elegant, too sophisticated, and it glowed with a pulsating light that seemed almost alive. Compelled by a mix of awe and urgency, Michael made a decision that would later haunt him. He sent out a signal. Using his modified radio telescope, he broadcasted a greeting in every language he had data for, including mathematical sequences, hoping to communicate peaceful intentions. The response was almost instantaneous, but not in the way he expected. The ship altered its trajectory, slowing down, then hovering above his lonely outpost in the desert. The ground trembled as the ship descended, stirring up clouds of dust and desert sand. With heart pounding, Michael watched as a hatch opened with a hiss of otherworldly mechanics, and from it emerged a figure that took his breath away. The creature, no, the person, was unlike any human, yet undeniably beautiful. Towering and lithe, with skin that shimmered like stars and eyes that glowed with a gentle but piercing light. They looked around, bewildered, before their gaze fixed on him. "I am Elian," the figure spoke, their voice a melody of chimes and winds. "Why have you summoned me?" Michael, dumbstruck, managed to stammer out some semblance of an explanation, speaking of his curiosity and his peaceful intentions. Elian listened, their expression unreadable, then sighed, a sound like the whispering of the galaxy. "You do not understand what you have done. My kind are not just explorers, we are protectors. By bringing me here, you have exposed your world and mine to those who seek to exploit such encounters. The consequences," Elian trailed off, a look of deep sorrow replacing their initial confusion. Michael's mind raced. This was beyond anything he had imagined. His intention to discover had inadvertently triggered a potential catastrophe. As Elian explained the precarious politics of their star systems and the parties that might see this accidental summoning as an act of aggression or an opportunity, Michael realized the gravity of his error. He had not found a mere celestial anomaly, but had instead pulled a trigger that might spark an interstellar war. As dawn broke over the desert, Michael and Elian began to plan. It was clear that steps needed to be taken, alliances formed, and possibly defenses readied. An unintended kidnapper and his celestial guest, now tied together by a thread of cosmic fate, looked towards a horizon that was suddenly charged with impending conflict. This accidental meeting between human and alien, grounded in curiosity and marked by unintended consequences, was only the beginning of what was to come. As the sun crept higher, casting long shadows over the arid landscape, Michael and Elian set to work, converting Michael's modest research outpost into a makeshift command center. The air was thick with tension and the electric buzz of foreign technology as Elian unpacked devices from the ship, tools that hummed with an alien energy and lit the room in soft, ethereal glows. Elian began to explain the delicate balance of power in their sector of the galaxy. There are factions, they said, their voice calm but with an undercurrent of urgency, who believe that any contact with undeveloped worlds is an invitation to exploit, to dominate. My arrival here could be perceived as a breach, giving them the pretext to intervene. Michael listened intently, his mind racing to keep up. He was no diplomat, nor a soldier. He was a man of science, used to dealing with data, not delicate interstellar politics. Yet here he was, drafting messages to be sent through channels he barely understood, to entities whose existence until tonight had been the stuff of speculative essays. They started by sending encoded signals to the nearest Allied stations Elian identified, detailing the inadvertent contact and appealing for support. Elian's hands moved with practiced ease over the instruments, adjusting frequencies and modulating transmissions to ensure they reached the right recipients without interception. Meanwhile, the response on Earth was beginning to mount. The initial detection of Elian's ship had triggered alerts through secretive government channels. Black cars and military vehicles converged on Michael's location. By the time they arrived, barricades and makeshift defenses were already in place, with Elian's ship imposingly standing guard. As government agents set up a perimeter, Michael negotiated for time. "We need to handle this delicately," he argued. "Any wrong move could lead to conflict not just here, but on a galactic scale." The agents, trained for earthly threats, were out of their depth but understood the gravity of the situation. Reluctantly, they agreed to wait for directives from higher up, their eyes fixed warily on the gleaming ship. Inside, Michael and Elian watched as multiple screens displayed approaching signals, some terrestrial, others far less so. Each ping on the radar was a potential ally or adversary, and the room grew colder with each new blip. Elian's expression remained composed, but their eyes betrayed a flicker of concern. "Not all will wish to protect," Elian remarked. "Some will see this as an opportunity to assert dominance over both our species." As they worked, the fabric of alliances began to weave together, threads pulled from across galaxies converging on a dusty outpost on Earth. Messages of support were tinged with caution, offers of help came with conditions. It was a chess game with the highest stakes, each move needing to be calculated with precision. The day faded into evening, and the first of the allies arrived. A sleek vessel, silent and almost invisible against the night sky except for the soft glow of its running lights. Its occupants were like Elian, ethereal and grave, their attire a blend of function and ceremony. They greeted Elian with a formal bow, which Elian returned, and then their leader turned to Michael. "You have caused quite a stir," they said, their voice a soothing balm. "But it is not without hope. We are here to help stabilize the situation." With the arrival of the allies, strategies began to form. They planned not just defenses, but also a series of diplomatic engagements designed to quell the brewing storm. Every action was geared towards de-escalation, towards proving that Earth was not a threat, nor a battleground, but a site of accidental significance in the cosmic tapestry. As night deepened, the outpost buzzed with alien and human cooperation, each working to prevent a war that neither side wanted. In the glow of monitors and alien lights, a new understanding was forged, one that might just stand a chance of keeping peace in a universe that seemed all too ready for war. Amidst the nocturnal alliance and the humming of otherworldly machines, Michael found himself more a student than a master in his own home. Under the tutelage of Elian and their allies, he learned of technologies and galactic treaties that dwarfed his previous understanding of both science and diplomacy. The night air was filled with the hum of energy fields and the distant roar of jets, as Earth's military forces, now briefed on the gravity of the situation, maintained a cautious but respectful distance. As the first rays of dawn began to pierce the horizon, a tension-filled quiet settled over the desert. Michael, despite the exhaustion tugging at his bones, pored over the communications console with Elian. Each message from the galaxy's various factions was a mosaic of cultural nuances and hidden agendas, which Elian decoded with patient precision. "Trust is the rarest of commodities in the cosmos," Elian explained as they analyzed a particularly cryptic message from a distant system. Suddenly, the fragile piece was shattered by a streak of brilliant light slicing through the morning sky. A new ship, unannounced and unmistakably aggressive in its approach, landed with a thunderous impact a few kilometers from the outpost. Elian's body stiffened, and their eyes narrowed. "The Marauders," they whispered, a hint of dread coloring their tone. "They see your world as an unclaimed prize, ripe for the taking." The arrival of the Marauders marked a pivotal shift in the dynamics at the outpost. These new players were known for their belligerence and were unbound by the diplomatic subtleties that governed more civilized parts of the galaxy. With swift decisiveness, Elian and their allies convened a council right in Michael's living room, now transformed into a strategic hub. The air crackled with alien languages as strategies were debated and plans hastily drawn up. Michael contributed what he could, his familiarity with Earth's military capabilities and geopolitical landscape providing a necessary, if modest, counterbalance to the extraterrestrial perspectives. Together, they crafted a multifaceted response, balancing outright defiance with calculated diplomacy. Elian communicated with the Marauders, their tone firm yet open to dialogue, offering a chance for peaceful resolution despite knowing the slim likelihood of its acceptance. The response was as swift as it was unfavorable. The Marauders issued an ultimatum, demanding surrender and threatening devastation if their terms were not met. The stakes were now life or death, not just for Michael but for his entire planet. Under the stark desert sky, alliances were tested and battle lines drawn. Preparations for a potential conflict began in earnest. Alien technology melded with human engineering, creating defensive systems that were both bizarre and miraculous to Michael's eyes. Energy shields shimmered into existence around the outpost, and drones, enhanced with alien tech, patrolled the skies. Every tool at their disposal was repurposed, from satellite networks to deep space sensors, all retooled for the imminent threat. Meanwhile, Elian worked tirelessly to rally support from other systems, their voice a beacon cutting through the static of space, urging unity against the Marauders' aggression. Responses trickled in, some pledging support, others offering condolences, a galaxy united and divided in the same breath. As the deadline loomed, Michael looked out over the preparations, a bizarre fusion of world-ending and world-saving technologies spread before him. He realized then that no matter the outcome, the Earth he knew had changed forever. In the crucible of cosmic conflict, a new chapter of human existence was being written, authored by the very forces that threatened to end it. As the ultimatum's deadline approached, a palpable silence enveloped the outpost. Michael paced the perimeter, surveying the improvised defenses that meshed Earth's military might with alien technologies. High above, drones whirred silently, their sensors sweeping the horizon. Beside him, Elian stood motionless, their gaze fixed on the distant hills where the Marauders' ship lay like a slumbering beast. Suddenly, the silence broke with a crackle over the communication array. The Marauders had responded to Elian's last diplomatic overture with mockery and derision, refusing any peaceful resolution. It was clear now, they were intent on demonstrating power, on making an example of Earth to deter future defiance from other worlds. Elian's expression hardened as they absorbed the grim news. Turning to Michael, they issued rapid commands to the alien allies. These commands were immediately relayed through various devices, orchestrating a symphony of defense readiness. Energy barriers powered up to full strength, casting a protective dome of shimmering light over the area. Michael, caught between his role as a host and an impromptu war strategist, coordinated with Earth's military liaisons to prepare for the worst. Ground troops, bolstered by alien-enhanced armor and weaponry, took their positions. The air grew thick with the electric scent of ozone and the heavy breath of anticipation. In space, the allied extraterrestrial fleets, having heeded Elian's call, began to arrive. Their ships, sleek and formidable, formed a blockade in Earth's orbit, a metallic bulwark against the marauding invaders. Each ship was a testament to the advanced civilizations willing to stand with Earth, their presence a mix of hope and an ominous reminder of the conflict's scale. Back at the outpost, tactical displays showed the positions of friends and foes alike, with red blips edging closer to the blue symbols that marked their own forces. Michael watched as Elian communicated with the fleet commanders, their voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. The alien language was melodic yet precise, its tones conveying urgency and strategy. As the Marauders began their advance, a tense calm settled over the defenders. The first wave was a barrage of energy projectiles, streaking across the sky like malevolent stars. The shields held firm, absorbing the impacts with pulses of light that rippled across their surfaces. Michael felt a momentary relief, quickly tempered by the knowledge that this was merely the beginning. The counterattack was swift. At Elian's command, the Allied ships launched a volley of precision strikes, designed to disable the Marauders' weapons systems without escalating to full-scale destruction. The night sky was lit by the brilliant flashes of their confrontation, a deadly dance of advance and retreat, attack and defend. On the ground, the troops remained on high alert, ready to engage any ground assault. Michael found himself beside soldiers and aliens, each prepared to defend not just the outpost but the very principle of sovereign respect. The unity among such diverse beings, brought together by necessity and forged in the fire of impending battle, was a stark contrast to the aggression of the Marauders. As the battle waged above, Michael turned to Elian, noticing the fatigue etched deep in their luminous eyes. "Will it be enough?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper amid the chaos. Elian glanced at the monitors, their face illuminated by the glow of incoming data. "It must be," they replied, their voice resolute. "This stand here and now is for all who cherish freedom across the stars. We fight not just for today, but for the possibility of peace tomorrow." The outpost, a beacon of resistance, stood ready to face whatever came next, each individual's resolve contributing to a collective strength. As the first rays of dawn began to break, so too did the momentum of the Marauders, their initial fervor tempered by the unexpected ferocity and unity of Earth and its galactic allies. The battle raged on into the morning, with the skies above the outpost painted in streaks of incandescent light as beams clashed against the energy shields. On the ground, Michael, clad in a hastily assembled suit of hybrid armor, monitored the progress with Elian. They stood together, a human and an alien, united against a common foe, their faces set in grim determination. The Marauders, realizing the tenacity of Earth's defenses and the strength of the interstellar alliance they had provoked, began to alter their tactics. Instead of brute force, they employed stealth and cunning, dispatching smaller, faster crafts that slipped through the defensive nets, aiming to land troops directly onto the desert floor. Elian, predicting this shift, coordinated with the aerial squadrons to intercept. The sky was aflutter with the agile forms of both ally and enemy ships, weaving a complex tapestry of aerial combat. Each explosion of a Marauder craft lit the sky with a temporary burst of fiery debris, a testament to the effectiveness of the Allied tactics. On the ground, the troops were not idle. The military units, both human and alien, formed battalions that moved with precision, covering the landing zones identified as potential breach points. Michael found himself among them, his earlier role as a researcher replaced by that of a makeshift soldier, his mind racing to adapt to the rapidly unfolding events. As the Marauders landed their first troops, the ground combat intensified. Energy weapons discharged with deafening cracks and whines, the air tinged with the acrid smell of ozone and scorched earth. The alien allies' technology proved invaluable, their armor resistant to the energy blasts that would have felled a human soldier unaided. Michael, behind a barricade, fired the advanced weapon he'd been trained on just hours earlier, the recoil unfamiliar but manageable. Beside him, an alien soldier from a race known for their tactical genius issued commands, directing their fire with an efficiency that turned the tide in several skirmishes around the outpost. The Marauders were relentless, however, and every fallen enemy seemed to be replaced by two more, their faces hidden behind masks of metal and light, their eyes devoid of mercy. The battle became a war of attrition, with both sides suffering losses as the sun climbed higher in the sky. Elian, meanwhile, was a flurry of motion and focus, coordinating the broader strategic moves that kept the Marauders at bay. They communicated constantly with the fleet above, orchestrating a ballet of ships and firepower that protected the outpost from being overwhelmed. Their commands were punctuated by brief moments of direct combat, their own energy weapon in hand, its shots precise and deadly. As the fight stretched into the afternoon, a crucial message arrived. The Allied fleets had managed to disable the Marauders' command ship, a significant blow to their operational capabilities. With their leadership in disarray, the Marauders' resolve began to waver. Sensing the shift, Elian pressed the advantage, rallying the troops for a concerted push that would test the limits of their endurance and courage. The combined forces of Earth and their alien allies surged forward, reclaiming the ground lost in the early hours of the morning. Each step was hard-won, every inch of desert fought over with a ferocity that mirrored the importance of what was at stake. The Marauders, now leaderless and disorganized, faltered, their lines breaking under the coordinated assault. Amid the chaos, Michael caught a moment's breath, his gaze meeting Elian's across the battlefield. In that brief exchange, a nod and a determined look conveyed volumes. The promise to see this through, to protect his home and perhaps forge a new future for Earth within the galactic community. As the day waned, the Marauders retreated, their invasion thwarted, leaving behind the scars of battle and a world forever changed. The outpost, though battered, stood victorious, a beacon of resistance and unity. The cost had been high, but the message was clear: Earth would not fall quietly nor stand alone. The aftermath of the battle brought a surreal peace to the outpost. As the dust settled and the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the scarred landscape, the air hummed with a mixture of relief and mourning. Michael, his armor dented and smeared with the residue of combat, assisted in the triage area, where the cost of their victory was most apparent. Medical units, staffed by both human and alien personnel, worked tirelessly. The wounded, both Earthborn and extraterrestrial, received care from technologies that blurred the lines between science and what once would have been considered magic. Bone regenerators hummed softly next to biotic field stabilizers, illustrating the advanced medical knowledge shared amongst the allies. Elian, their own garments marked by the toil of command, coordinated the recovery efforts. They moved among the rows of the injured, offering words of solace in their melodious language, which seemed to carry a soothing effect even to those who did not understand the words. As the immediate needs of the wounded were addressed, attention turned to the broader implications of the conflict. Debris from downed ships was secured, with both human and alien teams analyzing the wreckage. Each piece held secrets of technology and tactics that could potentially benefit Earth's defenses, should a threat ever arise again. The global response to the conflict was overwhelmingly supportive. News channels and broadcasts around the world had covered the battle, and while fear had gripped many, the prevailing sentiment was one of awe at humanity's ability to stand alongside interstellar allies. Governments, previously skeptical of the extent of extraterrestrial interactions, now convened to discuss policies and partnerships that could prevent future crises. In the cooling evening, a council was formed, consisting of Earth's leaders and representatives from the allied alien races. Michael was invited to attend, his first-hand experience and actions during the battle making him a pivotal voice in the ongoing discussions. The Council's task was daunting: to forge a new framework for interstellar relations and Earth's role within this larger cosmic context. The discussions were intense, with every decision weighed against the potential for future conflicts or alliances. Security measures were a significant focus, aiming to balance Earth's sovereignty with the need for interstellar cooperation. Proposals ranged from establishing a permanent alien diplomatic presence on Earth to Earth joining a coalition of planets bound by mutual defense agreements. Elian played a crucial role, advocating for Earth's potential as a positive force in the galaxy. Their testimony about the bravery and resourcefulness of Earth's people during the Marauders' invasion swayed many who were hesitant. They proposed a joint research initiative, leveraging the combined scientific prowess of the Allies to develop technologies that would benefit all. As night fully settled, the first of many interstellar agreements was drafted. Earth would become a provisional member of the Galactic Council, a significant step that would open doors to new technologies, resources, and knowledge. In return, Earth would host an interstellar summit, cementing its commitment to being a part of the galactic community. Michael, standing at the back of the room as the council adjourned, felt a profound shift within himself and the world he knew. The battle had been about survival, but the peace would be about thriving in a universe that was vastly more complex and wondrous than he had ever imagined. The outpost, once a solitary research facility, was now buzzing with activity as preparations began for the upcoming summit. Lights flickered on in newly erected structures, casting a hopeful glow over the site. Michael, watching the flurry of activity, knew that the true work was just beginning, the work of building a future that honored both the sacrifices made and the opportunities won. As the preparations for the summit gained momentum, the outpost transformed. Structures rose from the desert floor, a blend of human architecture and alien technology, creating a complex that was both a monument to newfound unity and a beacon of Earth's entry into galactic affairs. Michael surveyed the site, noting each new addition with a mixture of pride and awe. The summit, scheduled to take place within weeks, would be the first of its kind on Earth, hosted under the newly established protocols of the Galactic Council. In the bustling corridors of the expanded facility, diplomats, scientists, and leaders from various worlds mingled, exchanging greetings in a myriad of languages. Universal translators, a gift from the alien allies, facilitated a seamless flow of communication, turning what could have been a Tower of Babel into a symphony of cooperative discourse. Michael, now somewhat of a celebrity for his role in the defense of the outpost, found himself at the center of many conversations, his insights into human perspectives sought after by alien counterparts curious about their newest council member. The night before the summit, under a sky filled with stars and the occasional passing of a distant spaceship, Michael and Elian took a moment to reflect on the whirlwind of events that had led to this point. They walked through the summit complex, past banners displaying symbols of peace and unity from countless worlds. Elian looked toward the stars, their face illuminated by the soft light of Earth's moon. "We have come far, Michael," they said, "not just in distance, but in understanding. Tomorrow, we begin crafting a future that was unimaginable just months ago." Michael nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. "It's overwhelming at times," he admitted, "but I believe we're ready. Humanity has always been about pushing boundaries and exploring new horizons. Now, those horizons are as vast as the universe itself." The first day of the summit dawned clear and bright. Delegates gathered in the main hall, a grand chamber designed to accommodate species of various sizes and environmental needs. The air was filled with a quiet buzz of anticipation as the opening ceremony began. Speeches were made, each echoing themes of cooperation and the pursuit of peace. Earth's leaders spoke of their commitment to contributing positively to the galactic community, their words broadcasted globally, watched by billions. As the discussions moved into smaller focus groups, addressing everything from trade and resource sharing to defense and cultural exchanges, Michael participated actively, often bridging gaps in understanding between vastly different species. The negotiations were complex, but the underlying current of mutual respect made progress possible. Elian, serving both as a delegate and an advisor to Earth's representatives, facilitated some of the more delicate discussions, their diplomatic skill evident as they navigated the nuanced dynamics of interstellar politics. Together, Michael and Elian forged alliances that promised to protect Earth's interests while respecting the sovereign rights of other worlds. As the summit concluded, a treaty was signed, not just a document, but a covenant of shared futures. The treaty outlined the principles of mutual defense, respect for sovereignty, and shared knowledge. Earth, once an isolated planet on the edge of the galactic map, was now a full member of a community spanning the stars. In the closing ceremony, as applause echoed through the hall and the representatives from different worlds stood together, Michael felt a profound sense of accomplishment. The peace they had fought for was now enshrined in law and spirit, a testament to the power of unity over division, of dialogue over conflict. The outpost, once a lonely desert installation, was now officially designated as Earth's gateway to the stars, a title that carried the promise of endless possibilities. As the delegates departed, each to their own corner of the galaxy, they left behind a world forever changed, but more importantly, a world eager to meet the challenges and wonders of the universe with open arms and a united front.